Hey mamas, you're listening to the Balanced Working Mama podcast, the only podcast teaching you how to balance your work, motherhood, and wellness. I am Dr. Amber Thornton, clinical psychologist and mama wellness consultant. Each week we dive into tips and strategies and much more so that you too can become a balanced working mama. Let's dive in. Hey mamas. We are here for another episode of the Balanced Working Mama podcast. So glad to be here speaking with you all yet again. Let's check in. So we've made it to February. I hope that y'all had a beautiful January. I feel like it flew by fairly quickly. But February is here. I'm excited about the month. I've been excited for a while for a few reasons. One, I am finally in my third trimester, y'all. Ooh, it's here. Third trimester is here. Luckily though, I'm still feeling good. So, actually I'm going to talk about, feeling good and, just physical health a little bit in today's episode. But, again, for the most part, I'm still feeling good. I am having a few aches here and there with my hips and my back, but nothing that is stopping me. I am trying to get a little bit more rest, and I do see that coming. Of course, here for Balanced Working Mama, February is going to be a big month because we are still gearing up for our first ever Balanced Working Mama retreat. And so, if you've been following along on Instagram, you know that we've released all of our speakers. So now you officially know every single person that's going to be speaking at our retreat, that's going to be participating in our retreat. And also, I want to let you all know I have extended the early registration through this week. And so early registration will go on until Friday. Actually, let me check my calendar real quick so I'm not wrong. Early registration will continue through Saturday, February 6th. So, what that means is that if you register this week, you will get a special discount. After this week, registration will go up, but next week is the final week to register for our retreat. So I want to repeat that. If you are interested in attending this retreat, you have to register this week to receive early registration, or next week, your final week to register, and that price will go up a little bit next week. But either way, if you haven't been following along on Instagram, please do go check it out. We've got all of our speakers there. I am so excited for this retreat, because it just reminds me of our community. Every single mama that is attending, but also every single mama that is participating and speaking in our retreat, really is a part of our Balanced Working Mama community. So I really hope that you all enjoy this. We've been working really hard to make this everything, but also I want you to remember too, with the retreat, treat this like a vacation for yourself. I hope that you've already been planning ahead with how you're going to show up for the retreat, where you're going to be, how it's going to be restful for you, because that's what is required to really, really, truly get the full benefit, but also to make sure that you leave the retreat feeling more balanced and better able to achieve wellness in your motherhood journey. So again, we are so excited about this retreat. So I say all that to say though, after the retreat, Mama's gonna get some rest, y'all. I'm gonna get some rest because the retreat will be March 5th through 7th. And then I am really honing in on preparing for baby girl to get here. So baby girl's due mid-April. So I will be resting a little bit for March, April, May, June. And then we have our next Empower Wellness program in July. So yeah, that is our check-in. But feeling good, excited about the retreat. The mamas in a Power Wellness program currently have been doing so well. They're about to wrap up in the next week or so. And I'm so proud of them. But either way, I'm happy to be here, y'all. So I am excited about today's episode. It is going to be about physical fitness specifically. And I won't say too much now, but I am excited about this because I have been getting a lot of questions about my physical health and exercise routine, especially with me exercising so frequently up through my third trimester of pregnancy. So, we're going to talk about that today. I hope y'all enjoyed today's episode. Hey mamas, this is the moment we have all been waiting for. The Balanced Working Mama Retreat is happening this year, March 5th, 6th, and 7th. This year, our theme will be achieving the balance and wellness in your motherhood, and I know you'll absolutely do that. So please join us again March 5th, 6th, and 7th for our very first virtual retreat for discussions, community, empowerment, engagement, rest, relax, feel rejuvenated, and be sure that you're going to get the balance and wellness that you've been needing this year in 2021. Register now, or you can register until February 12th, but there is a special advantage to registering in January, and I cannot wait to see y'all there. Register at www.balancedworkingmama.com. All right, mamas, let's dive into today's episode. So, what I want to talk about is something that I talk about pretty frequently on Instagram, but I definitely wanted to do it today because it's something that I've been getting a lot of questions about. So, background, as you all know, oh, y'all hear my dog in the background. As you all know, I am currently about 28 weeks pregnant. I've just started the third trimester and things have been going well, thankfully. I'm very, very thankful for that because I know that not everyone's pregnancy is easygoing. Not everyone has a very smooth pregnancy, but I've been so lucky that both of my pregnancies has been pretty uneventful and very easygoing. And so with that, y'all also know that I bought a fitness bike, and with that came some weights, and we really during this pandemic transformed our sunroom, which was really just a room in our house that had a lot of sunlight and really was just kind of like a little sitting space, to our home gym. So with that, I've been working out a lot more than I ever have before because it's more accessible for me. I've been working out, for the most part right now. I work out Monday through Friday, 5 days a week, and I've been doing so for a few months now. And so I love posting on Instagram about that. I like to post my workouts. I like to post pictures and reels about me working out. And so, with that, I've been getting a lot of questions, a lot of curiosity. One, about how the hell have I been able to continually work out through my pregnancy, with such discipline, motivation, and intensity. But then also, just in general, about how do you work out consistently as a working mom? I think that's something that comes up often because our health is important no matter what, but especially when we become mothers and especially as we get older, we start to notice that our bodies don't work the same. Like, we start to have more aches, more pains, more medical concerns, health concerns, and we really do eventually have to shift to truly prioritizing this for ourselves because one, nobody else is going to do it, but two, it's just really important because if we don't have our health, what else do you have? So, I always say I'm very biased. I think physical health is so important. I also like to mention that, for example, when mamas come take the Balanced Working Mama Wellness Assessment with me to learn more about their wellness as working moms, what we find is that wellness includes 9 different categories, one of them being physical health. So I'm saying that to say, as we talk about physical health today, I don't want us to lose track of the fact there are 9 other categories of wellness as working moms, but today we're going to focus on physical health. And if you want to learn more about that, definitely check out the wellness assessment. If you're interested in taking a wellness assessment, reach out to me. Also, all of the mamas in the Empower Wellness program take a wellness assessment, and mamas who come to the retreat will be able to take a wellness assessment as well to learn more about the 9 categories of wellness for them and how they're doing. Either way, um, I want to share a little bit about my workout routine just because I think it's important to be transparent, to be honest about what we do, what we're capable of as women and as mothers, so that we can help others if possible. And I always find that sharing my stories, sharing my experiences can be helpful. Because I also like to hear stories and experiences of other mothers too, to help me navigate this process. So, um, I guess where I want to begin is, I've told you all that my current workout routine typically includes me waking up at 5:30 in the morning. Y'all know I like to protect my mornings. I am a morning person. I choose to work out in the morning because I know that I am my best self when I am doing something in the morning. Like after about 5 p.m., my motivation, my discipline, my energy drops exponentially. And then it's like, you're not going to get anything out of me. It would be really hard for me to do a workout in the evening because I'm so tired at that point, with or without pregnancy. So I know that working out in the mornings for me is always going to be the thing that I have to do because I get to get it done and then I get to move on with my day, but also because it starts my day off right. But that wasn't always the case for me. I didn't always work out in the morning because there were times throughout my life where I maybe didn't have the time to do it first thing in the morning, or my schedule was just really different. So I actually want to just talk about how I've been able to get to a point where I'm able to work out consistently 5 days a week and how long it actually took. I think that's the thing that sometimes we forget. We might look at people on Instagram or, learn about other moms and just assume that, they're working so hard, they're doing all this stuff and it's easy. But really, when I think back to it, I've been trying to work out for over 10 years. um, and in the beginning, it wasn't consistent. So I want to start from the very beginning. Um, I did not ever work out intentionally until I was in college. And it was at the end of college at that. I definitely this is so funny, y'all. Um so me and my this is a side story. It just came to my mind. Me and my husband went to the same college. We both went to Ohio State University, the Ohio State University. We met there. And I always tell him, when I first went to college, I moved away, lived in the dorms. That was my first experience of eating on my own, making my own decisions about food. And I made terrible decisions because I was 17. Nobody was here to tell me what I should or shouldn't eat. My mom wasn't cooking meals for me. So it was just like I had so much freedom. And y'all know what I ate every single day for at least a year. Every single day, there was a Panera Bread behind my dorm. I would go to class and then I would go to my dorm. But first, I would make a stop at Panera and eat a cinnamon crunch bagel every single day, every day, every day. And so now looking back on it, I'm like, bruh, what the hell? Do you know what happens when you eat a cinnamon crunch bagel every single day? It's not good for your body. Like, they are delicious. I still love cinnamon crunch bagels from Panera. I want one right now. Might try to go get one today. But you're not supposed to eat them every day. So I say that to say, there was definitely a time in my life where I was making terrible decisions about foods that I was eating. I wasn't working out consistently. I had never gone to the gym before. I just didn't think it was important. I didn't see it as something being important when I grew up. In my family, no one really intentionally worked out. No one really talked about um, fitness. Instead, it was more so focused on, I've got to go on this diet because I want to lose these 30 pounds, but just continually being unsuccessful at it. That was what I saw the adults in my life talking about when it came to health and fitness. And so it took me a while to come around to this idea of what it even meant to be intentional about my body and my body's health. Um, I would say that probably my junior year in college is when I actually took advantage of the workout facilities and actually started to try to go. I remember, and again, for anyone who was at Ohio State between the years of like what 2005 to 2009. That's when I was there. There was this huge fancy gym that they built called RPAC. And it was the biggest, best gym I've ever seen in my life. Still to this day, I haven't seen a gym that compares to that. And so when that gym was built, there was a lot of hype around it. And I was like, okay, I want to go. So that was my first time ever really going to the gym, my junior year in college. And I was what, 20? So that is when I actually started to try to work out. I explored some of the machines. I learned how to use a treadmill. I learned how to do some weights. Maybe did a few classes every now and then. And that was the start for me. And so I'm saying this to say my start of working to become consistent with working out started then. It didn't start this year. It didn't even start last year. It started in 2008 and we are in 2021. That is over 10 years. And so I'm not saying that it's going to take you more than 10 years, but what I'm saying is that we have to give things the time required to um, make them work. You know, I see too often we are very hard on ourselves if we can't work out 5 days a week starting next week. That's not realistic. And I'm getting ahead of myself because that's something I want to talk about. But my story is that it truly took me 10 years to work out consistently. So after college, I of course went to graduate school. And for anyone who has gone to graduate school, your schedule's crazy. Your schedule's really hectic. Your schedule changes every quarter. Um, there are days where you have nothing much to do, and then there are days when you're in class all day long. And so with that, I continued to work out. That was my first time actually buying a gym membership. Because before, of course, the gym equipment at the university was all free. And when I say free, it was embedded into our fees. And so, me going to graduate school was the first time where I was like, okay, I actually need to invest in my fitness by buying a gym membership. So, I had a gym membership all throughout my early 20s when I was in graduate school. That didn't necessarily meant that I worked out consistently, but I had access and that helped. Um, I would say that the 4 years that I was in graduate school, um, I probably averaged about 3 times a week that I was working out, and it would fluctuate. My interests would change throughout graduate school. Like, for instance, there were times where I was really into going to classes. There were times where I was really into cycling and doing the spin bike. There were times where I was really, really, really into the Stairmaster. I remember I went through a phase where that was all I did for a while. Then there was a time where I was really, really into strength training and lifting weights. But again, saying all that to say, um, that also was a period of change for me where I was learning how to have fun in my workouts, how to do the things that actually felt good to me, and actually learning these machines because they can be really intimidating. Um, I would say that I really, really, really started to go hard on my fitness when I was on my internship in graduate school. I moved to Oakland, California for a year. That was a dope year for me. It was a tough year. It was one of the hardest years of my life, but it was a really a year full of growth and change and independence for me. Moved to Oakland all by myself, across the country, first time ever, and with internship, I was no longer doing coursework. I had finished my dissertation. So I was really just my first time having a full time job. And with that, I didn't have no kids. I didn't have no husband. I didn't have no partner. It was just me. So I had a ton of time to really do all the things that felt good to me. And so one of them was working out. That was the first time I had ever started to work out 4 to 5 days a week and also on the weekends. That was the first time, y'all. And so, with that, because I had so much time on my hands, and I also was in a place of really wanting to grow spiritually, personally, just so much growth, I worked out a ton. I got really, really into lifting. I actually did what do they call it? CrossFit. I joined a CrossFit gym for a little bit. And it just made me feel really good. It made me feel Very, very good. So I did that for a year. Left Oakland, came back to Ohio for another year, and then this is a long story, so I'm going to try to wrap this up. But either way, the point is my workout journey, my fitness journey has definitely changed throughout the course of my life, and I think that's another lesson that I want to make sure we take away as well. When we are going through phases of our lives, our workout routines, our fitness routines will be very, very different. My husband's texting me, y'all. Hold on. Just texting. Give me a second. All right. So, um, remember when I said that this is real life in podcasting and I don't have time to do a lot of editing? That was a perfect example. I had to take a pause, text my husband, tell him I'm podcasting and his oatmeal is on the stove, and I hope that he's here to stir it because I'm not. Either way, I think I lost my train of thought, but I think where I was at is that different phases of our lives will look different, especially when it comes to our workout routines. We cannot always expect that it will all be the same. That's not going to be the case at all. And so that makes me get to the point of my story where I actually did become a mom. So working out consistently was a lot easier for me when I didn't have children. But now that I do have a child and I'm expecting my second child, it has been more difficult to find the time to work out, to maintain the energy required for working out, to prioritize the need for working out. Because there's something that happens when you become a mom. The world, society, your children, sometimes your family members will tell you indirectly, sometimes directly, that your needs no longer matter as much as they did. Your priorities are not as high as they used to be. Your health doesn't matter as much as that new baby you just had. And so it really messes with your brain because you go from prioritizing yourself sometimes, some of us don't, to completely thinking that you can no longer prioritize yourself. You have to put all this stuff that you used to do and you want to do on the back burner. And now you have to prioritize your family and your children. When you have that mindset, or when you go into motherhood that way, it's going to be really hard to work out because everything in you is going to be telling you, but this other thing is more important, or my child is more important, my spouse, my partner, they're more important, my work is more important. And then you forget to make the time for yourself, including the time to work out. So that is a battle that I think many of us as mothers have to face when it comes to our physical health, is that we truly don't believe that is as important as all the other things that we have going on. But I'm here to tell you it's actually more important, because if your physical health is not in check, and also we know our mental health, our emotional health is closely connected to our physical health. When all of that stuff is out of whack, you can't be a good mom. You can't be a good partner. You can't be a good spouse. You can't do well in your business or on your job. You can't show up for anybody if you haven't shown up for yourself. And so that is something that I had to really conquer in my mind by constantly reminding myself that it is okay for me to prioritize this time for me to work out. Because if I don't, it's not going to happen. So also I remember that when I had a newborn, when my son was a baby, um, I couldn't work out in the same way that I used to. For instance, when he was still waking up 2 to 3 times a night, I really had to decrease my expectations around what workout meant. It no longer could be a full hour. It no longer could be first thing in the morning, because he might have needed to nurse at that time. So I really had to be more creative and determined about how I was going to get some exercise in. Also, when I was working in person, I had to also become more creative and disciplined about how I was going to get that workout in. So, again, saying all this to say our workout routines will change and shift as our lives change and shift, and we have to be open to that and okay with that. It's not always going to look the same. So, you all, now I am here. I am in my third trimester, 7 months pregnant, continuing to work out, and it feels good. But it took a lot of work, a lot of discipline, a lot of determination, a lot of challenging the thoughts and the expectations that society and my family might have had of me with regard to how I show up in motherhood to get to this point. And I want you all to know that you have to do all of that work to be able to get where you want to be. If you feel like you are struggling with that, Empower Wellness Program is perfect to do that. We have so many mamas who join the program and their focus is physical health. And with a lot of them, we get them to a point of, starting at not having a workout routine at all, but knowing that they've needed one, to actually starting something that's realistic for themselves, that has level expectations and that they can achieve. And then they build from there. And so many of our mamas, even if that wasn't even their goal, leave our program with better physical health. They feel more capable and competent, confident to actually be motivated, disciplined, consistent with the workout routine, and I love that. So if you're already listening to this and then you know this is going to be a struggle, consider joining us in July for Empower Wellness Program. Also, I want to let you know that one of our speakers in the retreat, she will be talking about routines, and that might be helpful for you to think about how you're going to begin to build your workout routine as a mom. So also consider coming to the retreat. But either way, I want to talk about a few more things before I let you all go today. The first thing I want to talk about is some of the biggest mistakes I think that we make when we are trying to start a workout routine. This is just, things that I've gathered from working with my mamas in a Power Wellness Program, but then also mistakes that I feel like I've made along the way. I'm going to give you 5 of them. 5 mistakes I think that we make when we're trying to start a workout routine. One, we do too much. So many of y'all be doing the most. And I can't even blame you because sometimes I do the most in various activities of my life. I get it. We do the most sometimes, but when it comes to starting a workout routine, you actually need to do the least. You need to flip it. You need to do less than what you're thinking. So when we show up and we try to do the most, doing too much, um, you're not going to feel good about what you're doing because doing the most is not sustainable. But when we're building a workout routine, we want it to be sustainable. We want it to be achievable. And so if you're showing up, saying, okay, I'm going to work out 5 days a week, they're going to be an hour long. I'm going to do it, first thing in the morning at 4 a.m., but I'm never waking up at that time before. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. So you've got to tone it down. Or even with just how you're planning your workouts, I think some of us feel like we have to lift all the weights and do all the routines, do all the things we see all the mamas do on the reels and in their videos. And no, you don't have to do that. You just have to move your body. So I want you to not do the most, but actually do the least when you are first starting. Mistake number 2 is that our expectations are way too high when we're first starting. And that is very much related to perfectionism. I had an episode on perfectionism. Um, I think that was season 2 of the podcast. So definitely go check that out if you feel like perfectionism is something that keeps you from being consistent in a workout routine. We cannot aim for perfection when it comes to our workout routines, especially as moms. You have to be open to things not going your way. You have to be open to, well, I would like to be doing this level of intensity, but right now I have to start right here. So if you go into it with your expectations being very high, you're going to become discouraged. You're going to be disappointed. It's not going to feel good. And your brain is not going to say, hey, let's keep doing that. It's actually going to say, no, I don't want to do it anymore. And then that's going to feel like the lack of motivation, the lack of discipline. I had a mama recently say, well, I just feel lazy. You're not lazy. It's just that sometimes your expectations are too high and your brain is saying, I don't want to do this shit. But we actually need our brain to say, I do want to do this. And the way that we do it is having level, realistic expectations so that our brain can say, hey, this actually feels good and I'm good at it. So I want to keep going. So that was mistake number 2. Expectations are way too high. Mistake number 3, you're not planning ahead. I think too many of us, have a desire like, hey, I want to work out this week. And that's where you leave it. But that's not going to work. If you don't have a plan of exactly when you're going to do it, how you're going to do it, who's going to be a part of it, what workout you're going to do, what workout clothes you're going to wear, who's going to watch the kids, your workout is not going to happen. I'm going to repeat that, but in fewer words. If you don't plan for your workout is not going to happen. We plan for everything else. And when we plan for things, it means that it's important. When we don't plan for things, they're not a priority. They're kind of just like, well, if it happens, it happens. And for some things, it's okay to not plan, but for your workouts, your exercise, you actually need to plan it because it's important. But also, we know that with exercising, it's not always gratifying. It's not always easy. And so we have to actually plan it because our brains will easily say, oh, that thing that's not gratifying and that's not easy, why you want to do that? Let's not do that. Let's not make space for that. And that's not what we want. We actually want to plan ahead so we actually can make the time to work out. Mistake number 4, you don't have enough support or accountability. I think too many of us are afraid to tell people what we're working towards because we're afraid of failure. We're afraid of judgment. We're afraid of criticism. We're afraid of unsolicited advice. And I think all of those are valid. And we still need support and accountability to keep us going. So, if you haven't told anyone that you're aiming to start a workout routine, you should probably tell somebody, especially your mom tribe. And if you don't have a mom tribe, that's what Balanced Working Mom is here for. So, definitely get in here. Last mistake number 5, you still don't truly prioritize your wellness. What's that about? You still don't truly prioritize your wellness. You still are believing the myths and the beliefs of other people or society that's telling us that everything else is important but us. And that is not true. And with Balanced Working Mama, we teach mamas that actually you are most important and then everything else comes second. And that is a hard lesson for a lot of us because we are socialized to believe that our children and our partners and our families are more important than us, but that's not true. Because if we don't prioritize ourselves, we cannot show up for these people that we love. So we have to really always, always, always be doing the work, that mindset work of really understanding and knowing that you are the most important person in your life. If you don't believe that, you're not going to prioritize your workouts at all. All right, y'all. We went through some mistakes. Now I want to go through some tips because I really want y'all to leave here feeling very capable and confident that you can actually achieve a consistent workout. So now let's get into these tips. Because again, I want you all to leave here feeling like you can consistently work out or at least beginning to start the process of building a consistent workout routine. So I'm going to give you 5 tips for how to begin to become more consistent and disciplined in working out. So 1, I need you to be realistic about how you start. So, again, too many times the mamas in the Empower Wellness program or just other people in my life, when you're wanting to start something, I think we often have the end goal in mind. Like for example, if your ultimate goal is to be able to work out 5 days per week, we feel like we have to start there. And so we're thinking, "Oh, okay, I'm going to work out 5 days a week. Each workout is going to be 30 minutes or more. I'm going to do this and this and this." But realistically, when we're talking about starting, we don't want to start where we ideally want to finish. We need to do way, way less than that. And so being realistic about how you start is going to take you so, 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 so far. So, for instance, when I'm talking about being realistic about a consistent workout routine, I want you to think about the frequency with which you are going to work out, but then also I want you to think about the intensity of your workouts as well. So, for instance, like I've said before, when you are first starting to work out, your goal should not be 5 days a week. It should not. Even if you're telling yourself, oh, I'm only going to do something for 10 minutes 5 days a week. 5 days a week is a big, big, big commitment. And it takes a lot of time and a lot of effort to work up to that. It took me 10 plus years. So I don't think you should start with trying to work out 5 days a week. What I do think is a more reasonable goal It's maybe 1 day a week, maybe 2 days a week. So be realistic about how much you are going to do in the very beginning. Start small. Really start small. If you've never worked out before, you should aim for 1 day a week. If you've worked out before but have just been really inconsistent, you should still aim for being consistent for that 1 day every single week. You know what I'm saying? Also, thinking about the intensity of your workouts. If you are wanting to be consistent and disciplined, but you're doing the most in your workouts, like we talked about before, that mistake of doing the most, you're not going to be able to sustain that effort. So do less. Do less, because really the ultimate goal is prioritizing yourself to move your body in that moment. Move your body however you need to. So do less than what you think you're capable of. Do less than what you are expecting, because what will happen is we really will then start to build your discipline and your consistency, and then you can do more later. But when we're just starting, do less. Tip number two. Oh, actually, that was tip number two. Do less in your workouts. I got ahead of myself. So, tip number one was be realistic about starting. Tip number two is do less in your workouts. I think too many of us feel like we have to go hard or it's not worth it. Like, go hard or go home. I'm going to get the most out of this workout. But really, again, the ultimate goal is setting aside that time for you to move your body, even if it's just walking in place. Like, literally, do less. It doesn't have to be that super strenuous 50-minute workout that you saw somebody post on YouTube. It doesn't have to be that. It can get to that. It can be that every now and then, but it shouldn't be that every single time. So do less in your workouts, because it will allow you to, again, build the consistency. That's what we really want to prioritize. Becoming consistent at doing the same thing over and over again, so that that part becomes easy. Then you can start to build intensity into your workouts. But to start, do less. Tip number three, show up consistently before you start adding to your goal. So again, I see this mistake a lot where, we have one good week of working out twice and then we're like, all right, I'm going to bump this up. I'm going to double the time. I'm going to increase the intensity. No, 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 ma'am. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. The word I keep saying is consistency. Consistency is what truly matters in so many things of our lives. And really, all consistency means is just showing up over and over and over and over again. Consistency. You have to be consistent. And so, before working on the intensity of your workout, before increasing the frequency or the amount of time in your workout, you need to become consistent. So, for example, for the mama who just finished her first week of working out 2 to 3 days a week, awesome. I need you to do that 3 more months before you even consider starting to up it. Let's become consistent at this first goal before we start adding on to it. And again, I know some of you are very high achieving. Some of you all struggle with perfectionism. It's not going to feel like it's enough, but it's enough because you're laying the foundation of becoming consistent. Again, consistency is just showing up, doing the same thing over and over and over and over again. So become super consistent with that first step before you add on to the next one. Tip number four. This one is so important, you all. So I want you to really hear me very clearly. Tip number four, plan ahead. Plan your workout. Plan. And so when I say plan, I want you to plan, when is this workout going to happen? Where am I going to do this workout? How am I going to execute this workout? Who is going to watch my kids? Everything. Plan it out, because like I've said before, when we plan things, it signifies importance. But also the things that we plan tend to get done a little bit more frequently than things that are unplanned in our lives. With beginning a workout routine, you absolutely have to plan this out or it's not going to happen. So I need you to plan exactly when it's going to happen. You cannot wake up and say, oh, I'm going to work out today. That's not enough planning. What time? What time are you going to work out? Even the time of day is not enough. Tell me the time. What time? I know every day I'm likely going to work out between the hours of 5:30 and 6. That's when I'm going to start. That is a plan. When you go into this next week, you can't just say, oh, I plan to work out 2 times this week. When? What days? What time of day? For how long? Where are your kids going to be? Is your schedule free? What workout clothes are you going to wear? You see what I'm saying? If you don't have these questions, it decreases the likelihood of you executing this plan of working out. So plan it all out. So I recommend planning for the week ahead. So, for instance, you don't got to plan for the whole year. That's really unrealistic. But for the week ahead, you should have an idea of when, where, how you're going to be working out for that week. So, for instance, if I look at this week coming up, I know that Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I will be working out between the hours of about 5:45 to 6:30, somewhere in that window. That is a very specific plan. Every night I have my workout clothes laid out so I don't have to worry about it in the morning. I already know that my son is usually still asleep between the hours of 5:30 and 6:30. I know that my husband is going to do the morning routine because that's our agreement every single day. So you have to look at your schedule, look at your plan, figure out when, where, and how you're going to execute your workout this week. Final tip number 5. I want you to actually tell people about your plan to start your workout routine. Again, I think some of us don't tell enough people because we are afraid of the criticism. We're afraid of failing. We're afraid of, judgment, unsolicited advice. But tell the right people so that they can support you, so they can keep you accountable, so they can actually be a part of your plan and say, hey, well, I got the kids while you work out. Don't even worry about it. You see what I'm saying? You have to tell people. Also tell your kids. Like, many of us have young kids and they may not understand that, but we can still tell them that we're working out by showing it through our actions. Set up those boundaries. Let them know, like, hey, this is mommy's workout time. And while I do this, I need you to do this. When I'm doing this, don't bother me. Go to so and so. Or when I am doing this, I want you to watch this episode. Whatever it is, set those boundaries. Let them know so that they can support you, but also other people can support you as well. Balanced Working Mama is here to support. I am here to support. If you feel like you don't have a community that will support you in learning how to become more consistent and disciplined in your workout routines, we got you. So, I really, really hope that this was helpful for you all just to start to think about how do I become more consistent and more disciplined in my workout routine. I hope that you took something away from this, and I'm excited to see how you all will begin to up your workouts in 2021. Hey, mamas, this is the moment we have all been waiting for. The Balanced Working Mama Retreat is happening this year, March 5th, 6th, and 7th. This year, our theme will be achieving the balance and wellness in your motherhood, and I know you'll absolutely do that. So please, please join us again. March 5th, 6th, and 7th for our very first virtual retreat for discussions, community, empowerment, engagement, rest, relax, feel rejuvenated, and be sure that you're going to get the balance and wellness that you've been needing this year in 2021. Register now, or you can register until February 12th, but there is a special advantage to registering in January, and I cannot wait to see y'all there. Register at www.balancedworkingmama.com. All right, Mama. So before we go, of course, I want to leave you with something to reflect on. And of course, we talked all about becoming more consistent and disciplined in your workout routines. And so the thing that I imagine that you're probably thinking about is that there may have been a lot of things that have interfered with your ability to become more consistent, more disciplined in your workout routine. Or you might even be thinking, well, I'm still struggling with this. So what's going on? So I think it's important for us to take a step back and really reflect on what are the biggest things that keep you from working out consistently as a mother? What are the biggest things? I want you to make a list of all the things that feel like the biggest barriers for you. And I say this because when we are working towards something, if we don't take a step back to look at what are the things that have been in the way, what are the things that are blocking us, what are those barriers, it's hard to move forward because we first have to eliminate some of the barriers. I love this. This is actually something we're going to talk about in Empower Wellness program this week. It's about eliminating barriers so that we can actually move forward, because those barriers can be big, they can be heavy, they really block our efforts. And so, what are the barriers that really have kept you from becoming consistent in your workout routines in motherhood? Some of them might be feeling like you don't have time. Some of them might be feeling like it's hard to do now that you have a baby or a toddler or a older child. Some of them might feel like too many responsibilities. Some of it really might be the mindset around, well, I don't know if this is really important. Whatever it is, what is the barrier? When you identify the barrier, or if there's more, the barriers, I really want you to think through, what can you do starting today to gradually decrease that barrier? We want to knock it out. We don't want to get to the end of 2021 with that barrier still being present. So, what are some steps you can take to start to eliminate that barrier so that it's no longer a big deal for you? All right, Mama, I hope that helps you to further reflect on what's keeping you from becoming more consistent. But then also, I really hope that you're able to implement some of the tips we talked about today. Please, please share with me your progress and how you're working out, how you're showing up in your workouts. And I'll talk to you soon. Hey, Mama. Thank you for listening to the Balanced Working Mama podcast. If you love this podcast, please be sure to rate it and share it with another mama that you know. And don't forget to follow me and Balanced Working Mama on Instagram. I'll talk to you soon.